Okay, so yesterday we began a new parak about Eliezer. We saw two machlokas in the Mishnah between Velis and the Chachamim, where Eliezer was Mekel and the Chachamim were Machmir. The first one was regarding the lashon of a Pesach of your mother and your father. Had you known you'd be Mavasa, your mother and your father, by making this neder, when you made the neder, that is an acceptable Pesach according to Rebbe Eliezer. According to the Chachamim, it's not acceptable, right? They then challenged Rebbe Eliezer from making a neder that if can you be Pesach neder what by Kodesh Baruch Hu, and they said, well, there's a difference because at Kodesh Baruch Hu we had machlokas between Abaya and Rav Huna, right? According to Abaya, the neder is not going to be taken. It was Rav, but not Rav Huna. According to Abaya, the neder will not be taken off well. Why? Because the guy's going to lie. No person by Kodesh Baruch Hu, if you tell over Pesach, had you known you'd be Mavasa or Banishla, would you have done it? No person's going to say, yeah, I would have. So since he's not telling the truth, he wouldn't go ahead and take it off. Really, would be. Mashen came by Avi V'imo. Rabbi Eliezer holds no, the person taka would be Mavasa at a certain time. Rava was of the opinion that if it's so pashut that by a kodesh, then you never go to a chacham. You won't go to a chacham to take off the neder. So who I didn't give it a father and mother. Then we had a machlekes by Noilad. Rabbi Eliezer said you pasech ben Noilad. The chacham said you're not pasech ben Noilad. Rabbi Eliezer said where do I know it from? From Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu made a shvua to Yisro about that he wouldn't leave. And then he went back to Yisro to go ahead and be mata the neder. So you see that it was b'noilad. What was noilad? Mesu kol anashim. Dasan v'aviram died. Mesu kol anashim. So since they died, it was noilad. So you see that you could be posech b'noilad because in fact Moshe Rabbeinu used that as a heter for his shvur. The Chacham said it's not a good proof because in fact they didn't really die. In fact they just were yorim in chasav. They lost their property, they lost their money. Thus, they lost their prestige and access to paro, and thus it's not relevant. So now, the first part of the daf is basically going over that inyan, that pasuk that of Moshe Rabbeinu, learning out, extrapolating another halacha, and then we'll see some very very nice gemara today. Again, the parak is very nice. It gets harder in a few days now. Naira Murasa is a challenging parak. That's the one they learn in yeshiva. The last parak is a challenging parak, but Baruch Hashem, we're holding by. Everything's great. Tanya. Amid Aleph, Samech Hey Amid Aleph. Tanya, Hamudur Haname Chaveroi. If someone says his friend cannot have enough from him, Ein Matirin Lo Ela B'Fanav. You can't take it off the neder only B'Fanav. Again, if a person if a person makes a neder, that Mudur Haname Chaveroi, Ein Matirin Lo Ela B'Fanav. Only in front of that individual. You can't go ahead and not do it in front of that in others. Now, what would the reason be? We'll see in a second. Minani merely, where do you know this from? Rav Nachman Dechsiv, it says, Vayom Hashem al Moshe b'Midyon, Leich Shuv Mitzrayma. When Moshe was in Midyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, go back to Mitzrayim. Kimesu kol anashim. Amaloi, b'Midyon nedarta, Leich v'hit nedarcha b'Midyon. You made your neder in Midyon, go be mater neder in Midyon. Dechsiv, it says, Vayol Moshe had sworn, and Ein Allah ela shvua, Dechsiv Vayavai itay ba'Allah. Okay, so we see that he made so therefore the raya is that he made the neder in Midyon and he's going and taking it off in Midyon in front of in other words, he couldn't have maten neder Mitzrayim, no, he's being maten neder in Midyon. It's very fascinating, Ran, as to why you have to do b'fanav. Let's see it inside. First Ran, left side. Tanya. Hamudu no mechaveru imatirin le'el b'fanav. Ikamadi Omar the dafka kishahan neder l'tzarich kaveroi, right? Like a neder is for the other individual. So in other words, the neder that you have to be matam b'fun of is not a universal neder. It's only a specific neder where the person has to gain. Then since he has to gain, you have to be matam in front of him. So over here, Yisro didn't want Moshe taking off. It's very interesting. He said that there's a mechilta that Yisro took, that Moshe took just. Yaakov took off with in Lavan. He took off with the girls. So Yisro was worried that Moshe would learn from his forefather that we take off with the girls. Okay, so there's Ikam Adiyama that this din of taking off the neder in front of is only when the other person has what to lose, because you made the neder for the other person, like in Moshe's case. That we're going to see in a second, the Maisi B'Samach. Which was for the benefit of Nebuchadnezzar. They shouldn't be embarrassed. We'll see soon. A neder that is not for your friend's benefit, right? Well, you could go ahead and take that off. In other words, if it's not gonna mafria him, then you could take it off shleib b'fanav. So I'll give you a good example. Let's say your friend can't have enough from you. So he'd have what to gain to take it off, regardless where you take it off, right? Right? Your friend can't have enough from you. So why would you have to go ahead and dafka take it off in front of him? Adarabba, if in front of him is going to be problematic getting it, he'd rather you take it off wherever you are. Good. So that would be the Ran. This idea, fellas, guys, this idea that you can only take off neder v'hana, right, versus another neder that has to shlei b'fanav, which is not hana, depends upon the Yerushalmi. And listen to the Yerushalmi that the pligi b'Yerushalmi b'taima de'ematir leil b'fanav. The time of the milsa. What's the reason? B'fnei habusha kalaima seyishbayish mechaveroi shaneda hoylan asay v'achshav vaytza sheyatirulay v'hay tayim l'shayach elik sheneda hoylan asay. Fellas, I make a neder that I make a neder b'neder that I'm going to go ahead and provide Heshi with good wine every single month. Every month is a wine club. I'm going to provide Heshi with good wine. Good. Yes. Now this is for his hana. This is for his hana. Yeah. So now, what happens if I want to take a shleib b'fanav? It's a busha for me to tell Heshi. Guess what, Hesh? I'm going back on my words, right? So in other words, als busha, you would have to take it off in front of him, because we want to make sure that the guy realizes that, look, you made a neder, keep your word. So that would only be a neder where you have what to gain. What happens to a neder you don't have what to gain? Then it doesn't make a difference. Busha doesn't make a difference. I make a neder that Heshi, I'm not gonna have enough from Heshi. So there's no busha there. So in other words, the timer that you want to say that a neder you could take off is only ana would depend if busha is the reason. Again, and busha is you're embarrassed to go ahead in front of the individual because he's going to gain. The high time the time of busha is only when the neder is for that individual's hana. Halav hachi, if it's not for that individual's hana, mashma de matir and I feel shlei b'fanav. Miu ikadi of time, it is another reason, Hassam. V'nei hachshad. K'loima, shechaveru shu mudam imenu lo yoda behetiroi. U'kushenenu mimenu yichashdenu shu over al nidroi. So guys, I go ahead and make a neder that Avi, I won't have enough from Avi Rosenzweig. Good? Or I go to a bezdin and what do? I take off the neder. All of a sudden, I'm having enough from Avi Rosenzweig. What does Avi Rosenzweig think? He thinks I'm over on my neder. But therefore, if I make it in fun of, he'll know that I didn't. Now, if it's chashad, it has nothing to do with hana or not. It has to do with keeping your word or not. So says the Ran, this idea that you have to take off a neder in front of the person that's naigeya the neder, whether it's hana or not, would depend upon the Yerushalmi's reason. Let's go through it. If it's al busha, you're embarrassed, it's embarrassing, that would only be by hana, because it's embarrassing to tell your friend you can have enough of me anymore. But if it's not hana, then it doesn't apply. Masha enkein, if it's chashad, then it does that the person will think that you're being over the neder because he doesn't know you took it off because you did it shalai b'fanav, then it's regardless of what it is. So very geschmack, this idea of the Ran would depend upon the Yerushalmi. It would depend on the Yerushalmi. Let's continue. Says the Ran, get weiter. Well, high time I feel a neder shu shalai lanas kaveroi. And the reason of chashad that the person is going to be suspicious that you're over your neder, okay, so that's one. That is one nafkamina, guys. One nafkamina would be if it's hana. If it's al busha, the only right. But if it's al shad, it doesn't make a difference. The suika ben hani trei lishni. There's another nafkamina between those l'shainis. Leman Omar b'fnei chashad kol shediuhu matirin lo yafilu shlei b'fanav. The suleka chashid. If I would tell Avi Rosenzweig, I'd send him a text. So not in front of him, then he's not going to be chashid me what for being over the neder. Mashen came busha would always be, I'm embarrassed. Well, my mishum busha, I feel the dafka b'fanav, the chol shaloi b'fanav leka busha. Right. Okay, guys, let's just summarize what we saw in the Ran. The first line that we mentioned in the Gemara was that if you make a neder, if concerning an individual, you have to take the neder off in front of the individual, right? The Yerushalmi, the Ran suggests that's only what if it's he's going to have enough from you, but if it's not hana, then you could go ahead and take it off shlei b'fanav. Says the Ran that depends upon the lashon of Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi offers two reasons. One is al spusha, you're embarrassed. You'd only be embarrassed if the person had what to gain. If the person didn't have what to gain, there's no busha. Second reason, al chshad, that if you don't do it b'fanav, the person's going to think the neder is still in vogue, and you're being over on the neder. So that's regardless whether it's a neder for hana or not hana. He's going to be choshed me for being over the neder. That's one nafkamina between the two lashonos. The second one would be if you inform the guy. If you go ahead, listen. If you tell the guy, you send him a text, a letter, say, listen, I took off the neder, so he's not going to be choshed you for being over the neder because you informed him. Vashenka al spusha. The reason it's busha, that's only busha's tafka b'fanav, shloi b'fanav does busha, therefore you'd have to take it off b'fanav. That's so the two nafkaminas according to the Ran. Okay, the Gemara now gives another example of shloi b'fanav, a ma'aseh that happened. Now, the last melech of Yehuda was Tzidkiyahu, tremendous tzaddik, right? He had a lot to do with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar came up. He didn't destroy the base right away. He conquered Yerushalayim. He took people into Gullus. The Chanya, they went into Gullus. The Charish and the Chayrish, the Kaitz, I don't know. I forgot the other one. The great people. Mordechai Balshim was one of them. They went into Gullus before, and we're going to see a very fascinating incident. So what happened one day? The Gam Melech Nebuchadnezzar Marad. Asher Hishpiu Belikim. He rebelled. Tzidkiyahu rebelled. Why? That he knew that he rebelled against Hashem. Ma'amar Dusei. What was his merida at Tzidkiyahu? Ashchet Tzidkiyahu leVuchanetzar dehave ka'ochel arnava chaya. He found him eating a live rabbit. The Marsha says that he wanted to go ahead and make sure his achzarius, his cruelty, remained in place. So by eating a live animal clearly shows you achzarius. It reminded me of a story of a friend of mine, Rabbi Elimelech Leibowitz. He was in the Schlachthaus, and he said that they shechted, it was an ox, they shechted the bull, and from the Makam HaShchita shot out a bunch of blood. A guy in the Schlachthaus took a cup, gathered the blood, and just drank it. Mamish like, mamish achzarius. Hot blood, he said, there's nothing like it. The guy, achzarius, you want to know why. Amazing, like idea, but that's the idea over here. So this person was eating, says the Marsha, and Nebuchadnezzar ate a live rabbit. Amalei, so he was embarrassed. So he told Nebuchadnezzar told Tzidkiyahu, go ahead and swear to me that what you will not go ahead and reveal it, that it should come out publicly. So Itaka swore that he won't tell it. However, but l'soif in the end, have become mitztayer Tzidkiyahu begufe. He was mitztayer, right? That he couldn't go ahead and inform people. He wanted to go ahead and downgrade Nebuchadnezzar's influence. And you know what? If you think about politicians, come out these. Can you imagine the politics, the New York Post, the New York Post. Can you imagine the headline? King eats a rabbit, blood in live rabbit. It would be very. I'm not so creative, but it would be pretty funny, whatever, right? So anyway, so Itchel Ashviyase. So he went to the Sanhedrin. He took off the shvua. Be aware what's shlei b'fanav, guys, right? The Omar Shema Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar heard to come mevazin that they were mevazin him. Sholach v'aisi Sanhedrin. He went and he v'aisi Sanhedrin v'Tzidkiyahu, and he brought Sanhedrin and Tzidkiyahu. Amalahoin Chazin and Micah of the Tzidkiyahu. Lav hochi yishtaba v'shma d'shmayid le'megalinon. Look what he's doing. He informed everybody. Didn't he make a shvua in the name of Kodesh Baruch Hu? Amalei. So Tzidkiyahu told Itchel Ashivurase. I took it off. So Amalei said Mitchel Ashivurase. They hears the Sanhedrin. He took off the shvua. Amilei. So the Sanhedrin told Nebuchadnezzar he took it off. So Amalu b'fanav ayafilu shlei b'fanav. He was a lamdin. He was a lamdin. He said he learned the Nedarim. Yeah, he said, did we take it off before or not before, right? So Amri b'fanav. So Amri b'fanav. So in other words, if you take off a neder, do you have to take off a fun or not? So he said you have to take off a fanav. So Amar Lahoin, so Nebuchadnezzar told them, the asoin maya vidasoin, right? And what did you do? Obviously, what? Not my timer. Is that open?
No.
That's a
I'm
loud.
screaming up the road, this guy. Close.
Yeah. Gotta tell him to speak very loud. I'm gonna wait. So the Buranezah, the Lamdin said, right? He said that did you go ahead and a neder does or shvur does that take up b'fanav? They said b'fanav. They said, what did you do? My so my time why didn't you tell Tzidkiyahu that he can't take it off Shalai b'fanav? Miyad the pasuk says, Lashon Miyad the pasuk says, Yeshvu la'aretz yidmu ziknei bas Sion. So Yeshvu, they sat on the ground, yidmu, they were quiet, like doim. Ziknei bas Sion is the kingdom of Sion. Amr Yitzchak, what do you mean they sat on the ground? Sheshamtu korim mitachteim. The Chaneza, who had been mechabed them by sitting them on mattresses and very fine pillows, he pulled them out from underneath them and had them sit on the ground. So again, this is a Maisa. Again, this Maisa again is an example of Lahana Asay. Just like, right? Just like Moshe swore to Yisro for his Hana, that he's going to stay with him, Tzidkiyahu swore to the Nebuchadnezzar of his Hana, that he wouldn't go ahead and be Mavasa him by informing it. Right? Yeah.
In Shmos, in Perek Daled, as you test, Vayelech Moshe Vayoshev El Yeser Chosno, and Rashi says he went back to basically because he had sworn to him not to leave. So he went back to do, I guess, the fun.
That's what the Gemara. That's what we said at the top of the Gemara. This is our Gemara. No, but this they got it from this Gemara that he said that there was a neder, and he in Midyan, the Gemara said in Midyan you made the neder, in Midyan, right? That's exactly what the pasuk is. Okay. Anyway, says the Mishnah. Remeya Omer says Remeya yesh devarim shehein kinaylad ve'ena kinaylad. Remeya says there are things shehein kinaylad, they are like noylad, ve'ena noylad kinaylad. So we saw yesterday noylad works like the davar shlebar loylam. In other words, had you known, this is the way we learned the rush. Had you known this fact when you made the neder? Now noylad you could not have known that fact because it wasn't around. Good. So therefore, there's something that is a shtickle like that. It's not around, and the shtickle it is around. What is that? We're going to do examples of it. The ein chachamim moidaloi. The chachamim not moided him. It's the gersa on the side of the chachamim moidaloi. Right, the Rush and Taisus both hold the goris lein chachamim moidaloi. Ketzad Amar koinim she'eni noisa espoinis shavia. I make a neder. A shidduch was read to me, and people are putting pressure upon me to marry this woman. I'm not marrying this woman because her father is bad. Father's bad. Amruloi, they told him, Mace, Oisha Asa Tshuva. Either he died or he did Tshuva. So now, this is example of Noilad, the Loi Noilad. In other words, the father's in the world, he's around. However, death is not in the world or is Tshuva. There's a bad dog in the house or a snake, a dangerous snake in the house. The Kelev died and the Nachash was killed. And it doesn't say the Nachash died. They killed the Nachash. You don't leave Nachashim around. So this is like Noilad, not Loidai, and the Chachamim are moided to him. Okay, let's see the Ran. 5-6 lines on the bottom. You're making your neder not on a Tanai. You're making a neder dependent. The kivin the Amar Shavia Ra, mashma kol zman Shavia Ra. It's mashma the whole time the father's bad. So you're not saying he's not. It's like totally noilad. You're making it dependent. You're saying the whole time the father's bad, I won't go ahead and marry this girl. Well, if kishemes and no longer he's bad, ayasa tshuva shari, it would be permitted. So it's not. It's like noilad the fact that it's not here yet. But it's not like Noilad because you make it possible that he could be here. Why? Because you toilet in a Maisa, him being here or not being here. So that's the question. That we'll see. Okay, so it says the Gemara. Koinim sha'ani and Bekula, Mace Noiladhu. What do you mean to tell me, guys, Mace is, why do you make an edda? I'm not marrying so-and-so because the father's bad. And he says, this is Noilad ve'ena Noilad. What's the case? The father dies. What do you mean that's Noilad ve'ena Noilad? That's Noilad. The guy's in the world. He's not in the world. Noilad means something was created over here that wasn't there previously. Death. So what do you mean it's noilad ve'ena noilad? So the answer is, Amrav Huna Nasa Kitoila Nidroi Bedavar. Nasa, we view it as if he made a neder, as he just said before. I just said in the Mishnah, guys. He made it Tully, the father's here, and he made it Tully the whole time. The father's bad. If he's dead, the father's not bad. So it's not noilad. The noilad is if it was dependent on the father being alive or not. It's not dependent on the father being alive or not. It's dependent on the father being bad or not. And the father's not bad anymore. So Amrav Huna Nasa Kitoilib Nidroi Bedavar. He's making his neder dependent upon something. Rabbi Yochanan says, Kivar Meis, he already was dead, Ukvar Asa Tshuva, but when he said, I won't marry this woman as long as the father's bid, so the father isn't bid. You know why? He either did Tshuva, or he was dead at the time of the neder. The Ran, look at the Ran, it's the bottom, Sarchian, bottom line, Sarchian Rabbi Yochanan, Hechi Ketani Yesh Devarim Shein K'noilad, the Kivin the Kvar Meis, like Damil Noilad Klal. If the guy's dead already, that's not Noilad. What's Pshat Rabbi Yochanan? Okay, anyway. But again, it's not noilad. It's not noilad. The Mishnah Avi is giving examples of things that are noilad and not noilad. Like Rabbi Yochanan, it's not. It's neither. Right? It's not noilad. It's there. Master Rav Abba. Rav Abba is going to ask on Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so now, according to Rabbi Yochanan, guys, this is called a neder b'tois, right? Had you known the guy, this is totally a neder b'tois, correct? It's a mistake. Light Rav Huna, you're making totally bedavar. Light Rabbi Yochanan, it's a neder b'tois. Good. Master Rav Abba. So tomorrow we're going to see another Mishnah. Why does the Mishnah say tomorrow's Mishnah? Koinim she'eni noisel ploinis kura. I won't marry this woman because she is kura. She is not attractive. Varihinan, she is attractive. Shechaira, she is a dark pigment. Varihi levana, and she is in fact white. Kitsara, she's short. Arihi aruchin, she's tall. Mutaba, and in other words, nothing changed. She didn't grow and she didn't have a Michael Jackson moment, and she had and she didn't all of a sudden become pretty. In other words, this is a neder b'tois, guys, right? So what's the answer? Mutaba, even without she'ela. Loy mifnei shekura v'nasis na, shekura v'nasis levana, kitsara v'nasis arucha, ela she'haneder tois. The neder was made b'tois. This is a Mishnah tomorrow. Says the Gemara, Gavaldiga Kasha. Bishlem l'Rav Huna the Amar Nasa Ketoila Nidra B'Davar, by saying that what my neder is dependent upon the father being good or bad, father, right? Therefore, you have two Mishnayos. One teaching me this thing, and one teaching me needed neder b'tois, right? So Tana Toila B'Nidra B'Davar, the Tana Nedra Tois. El Rabbi Yochanan the Amar Kivar Meisu Kvar Asa Tshuva, where you said, I won't marry this woman if the father's bad, and it turned out the father was dead, so you made a mistake, or the father did tshuva, so you made a mistake, right? Why do you have to learn this two Mishnayos telling me the exact same thing? The Gemara says kasha, it's a kasha. The difference between a kasha and tiyufta is a refutation. In other words, it's a checkmate, you're out. Kasha it's a kasha, but there's truitzim. Mishtamis makasha is a kasha. Okay. This is a built-in Pesach, guys. You can be Pesach what with the cover Shabbatayra. But oimrim loy, ilu yisi yedea sha'ata over al loisikam loisita. Listen, the guy went ahead, and he made a neder. Listen, you don't want to lend me your axe. I'm not lending you my axe. Yeah, you're not lending my axe, right? Had you known by doing that you'd be over on the sikam v'leisita, taking the kamma, would you have made an neder? And if he says, of course not, we'll say that that's a good Pesach. Or hating your friend in your heart, or if you're mevatel yasei, or shehu ani beinat yachal farnasai. In other words, had you known that by him being an ani and you're not being farsa to him, that you're over imach. In other words, you make a neder not to have anah. The guy's an ani. You can't go ahead. Had you known that your neder is you're going to go ahead and not allow your relative to live with you, it's a mitzvah to give money to your relative. Either you see a day shu kain lo you see noida, or is a muta. That would be a good Pesach. Now this is a kasha. We said yesterday, it's going Kenegah Kodesh Baruch Hu. Guys, we said yesterday what? Everyone's moida that if you make a neder, had you known you'd be Mavaza Hashem, So what's the difference? I mean, the answer is obvious. Over there, you're going against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the whole Torah Kula. Over here, you're going to go over a specific. The Ran says you're going for a specific Avera. So when it comes to the specific Avera, then you will go ahead and say it's a Pesach. When it comes to the Kit and Caboodle, the whole thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, would you made the neder? Of course not. You're not going to be vaz and say, have the chutzpah and say you would have made the neder. But you would say, you know what? Because one Avera, a person would say, so Mela, that it's a good Pesach. Now we're going to go on the last thing, guys. The guy's an Ani, he's an Ani, and you were Mudahana, he's your relative, and now you can't get money to him. How do you know that you'll be over on the pasuk of V'chayochicha imach, a mitzvah to go ahead and provide for him? Would you have gone ahead and done that? Would you have gone ahead? And the Gemara is saying that no, it's a good Pesach. Okay, says the Gemara. Right? How could they write that you're chayiv to mefarnes your relative? Nema kol dema'ani lav olai nafal. Any ani is not placed upon me. The Ran explains. They would go ahead. They would give them money to the Gabbai Tzedakah, and the Gabbai Tzedakah would go ahead and give it out. So what do you mean? I'm over on b'chayachichi imach. I'm not over on anything. Just give the money to the Gabbai Tzedakah. Says the Gemara, the money lava alai nafal, umay the moti lila parnasaslay, bahade kuli alma infranaslay. And I'm mechuyev to go ahead and infranas him. It's no different than any other ani in the city, right? And therefore, I give it to the Gabbai Tzedakah. The Gabbai Tzedakah can give it ever he wants. But what kind of Pesach is? What kind of Pesach is this? Again, the Pesach is, had you known that you would be over v'chayachichi imach, there's a mitzvah to go ahead and give money to your relative. Had you made the Fred the Gemara, I don't have a mitzvah to give money to my relative. I have a mitzvah to give money to the Gabbai Tzedakah. When delay tonight? Right? How do you know when you sneeze twice? Would you? Okay. Anyway, so that's the kasha. So Amalei, so he said to him, so Rav Katina said to the Rabbanan said to Rav Huna bar Katina, he said to him, Amalei, ani oimer kol hanoifo. Anyone who falls into anias, ain't a noifel they gabbai tzedakah tchila. He doesn't fall in front of the gabbai first. First he comes in front of the relatives, and then the gabbai tzedakah. So therefore, had you known that your relative would come to your door and you'd have to give them money, and you wouldn't have any money to give them, would you have made the neder? And he says, no, you have a mitzvah. Says the Mishnah, let's say a guy makes a neder that his wife can't have enough from him. What does he have to do? He has to divorce his wife, right? He has to divorce his wife. So now, meaning, had you known that it's going to cost you big bucks, would you have made this neder? Good Pesach. Good Pesach. Gemara brings a Maisa. Maisa be'echad, shenoda be'ishtoi hana. He says his wife can't have enough from him, and they forced him to divorce her. Now, usually ksuba, we remember, is 200 zuz. His was 400. Ubalifnei Rabbi Akiva, he was chayav to give all 400. Amaloi said the person who made the neder to Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi, my father left us 800. Not achi arba meyos. My brother took 400 dinarim. Bani arba meyos, and I took 400. Loi daya shetitel him masayim bani masayim. In other words, why do I have to give it for 400? Let me give it 200, and I'll keep 200. So I'm a Rabbi Akiva. I feel even if you're going to go ahead and sell the hair on your head, at the nice look subasa, you're going to have to pay up 400. Had I known I have to pay the 400, I never would have made this neder. And what happened? Rabbi Akiva, so the Maisa is supporting the psak. He just needed him. Adrab, but this is the best. He didn't even ask him. He offered the information himself, right? Okay. Side point, the Gemara, we remember from the Ksubis that the metaltalin is not meshubah to the Ksuba, it's land. Right? You collect Masiburius, right? You collect Masiburius. Okay, so the Gemara wants to know right away. Metaltali, the half meaning of the Gemara is that the 400 zuz that this person had, or the 800 initially, was metaltalin. Because he inherited his brother 800, he gave him 400, gave his brother 400, and Amar Abaya, Karka Shava Chesmeas Dinari, right? They inherited Karka 800. It wasn't 800. Metaltlin is 800 Karka. Freding Marakasha, the Katani Sar Roishai, the Sar Roishai Metaltlihu. He said, I feel the hair on your head, you'd have to give it, right? And here on the head is what is Metaltlin. So back to the original question, it can't be that what they just got Karka if you require a person to give the hand on the head. Then Hachi come on. I feel what to Moicha Sar Roishcha, even if you'd have to sell, in other words, you pay her off the 400 guys, and you would have to sell your hair to feed yourself. So it's speaking about karka. Speaking about karka. When it says even have to go ahead and sell your hair, that means to support yourself. Good. Now we have machloikis guys in Bab Metzia in Daf Kuf Yudalid whether you misajin lebal chayv or not. In other words, remember the old cartoons where the guy would come out with a barrel around him, he lost his clothing, and he'd come out with a wooden barrel? I'm dating myself, right? Do we do that to a person? And the answer is, if you misajin, right? If you misajin, then we don't. We leave him food for 30 days, we leave him clothing for a year. There is halachas of being misada. Now, if a misajin, when we take everything away from him. Masha from the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva is taking away everything, right? He's leaving him the guy with his hair. So the Shema Mina said, and that's the machlokes there in Bab Metzia. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, so Shema Mina from this incident of Rabbi Akiva, then a misajin lebalchov. We're not masada him his basic necessities. In other words, guys, a guy files chapter 11, right? We still leave him with something, correct? That's the reason he's filing chapter 11. We don't take away everything. This guy's filing chapter 11. We're taking away everything. Why? Because all we're leaving him with is the hair on his head. So Amrav Nachman, Rabbi Yitzchak, no. You know what it means? It means loima she'im mekarin shtar ksubasa. We don't rip shtar ksuba. The Ran speaks out like this. This person really misajin lebal chayv, and this person is going to name Meshura Sadin, and he's saying, no, take everything. Says Rabbi Akiva to him, 1 second, you think I'll take everything and therefore the ksuba will get ripped up? No. The ksuba, you can be l'fnei Meshura Sadin, you can go up and above board and give more than you're entitled to and keep less, but nonetheless, you're not ripping up the ksuba, you're going to have to pay it in its entirety.